What is up, YouTubers and lovers of budget cars and bikes? Welcome back to part 2 of the Should You Buy a Crashed Car series. As I said in the first one, this is going to be a very short series, maybe 3 videos, around about 7 to 10 minutes each, just basically to talk about something that I've been considering doing for a very long time, and that is buying slightly crash damaged cars. I mean, we're not talking about structural damage like Type S's or Cat S's in that respect, but something unrecorded, maybe a police auction, stolen, recovered, or even Cat Ends, as is the case with this. If you've seen the first video, which was a couple of weeks ago, you'll have seen it on the day that this arrived, this 2009 Seat Leon, which I did buy relatively local to me. And one of the reasons for that was they've got a great salvage yard in St Austell, which is about 15 miles from me, and the delivery cost for a car from there is £30, up to what, £25 plus VAT, which is just incredibly good. There's no way I could actually even get that done privately, you know, of one of these Facebook guys that delivers cars and bikes. They will deliver it to your door for £30, 25 quid plus VAT, so, you know, that's perfect for me. Now, it's always a bit of a minefield from what I've seen. I mean, I've watched a lot of videos, obviously. It's a bit of a minefield. It's a little bit scary. I mean, you can go and have a look at the cars, or do you just take a chance? I didn't go and have a look at this car, if I'm honest. I looked at it, obviously, on the pictures. They've got high-resolution pictures there. And you get a good idea. Now, you'll remember from the first video that this wheel here had been pushed back quite some way. I mean, you can even see there where it was actually pushed back to. And as you can see now, I've managed to get that fixed. I say get that fixed because I was trying to find one of these mobile mechanics. Now, again, if you remember, this was drivable, but barely, because it was rubbing on this wing here. And I really didn't want this wing to end up popping off its mounts and, you know, getting destroyed, because there's actually not much wrong with it. There's some scuffs, as you can see down there. That's something I'm going to have to deal with at some point. I've not made my mind up about that. We'll talk about that in another video. But I did try to get a mobile mechanic to come round, as I said, because I couldn't really drive the car, to do the lower control arm. It was exactly as I thought it was. It was just the lower control arm, which is actually sitting right there. And you can see that that isn't looking too clever, is it, really? If we get it on that angle there, you can see that's been bent quite some way. It's not looking too pretty. And talking of things that aren't looking too pretty, if you take a look at that finger there, that's my niceness that I created for myself by taking that off. Now, I did say, you know, this series is about the man next door. You know, can you do this yourself? Can you buy a crash car within reason and do it yourself with basic tools and basic knowledge? The answer is yes, because I waited for a guy to come around and do this lower control arm, because I wasn't that confident, and then I thought, screw this. I mean, I can't get anybody around here for a couple of weeks. I'd already ordered an impact driver, so I had all the tools to do it, and I did it myself. Now, it wasn't that easy, because as you can see from that and the way that's been bent, a couple of the bolts in this part here, because there's a huge big bolt down there, as you can see, and then 2 up there, because of the pressure that had been put on it, because of the way it's been bent up like that, that's going to drop, isn't it? It was really difficult to get it out. I had to use a pry bar and mole grips, and it was just a fucking nightmare, you know. And let's get this back on here. As I said, I managed to create that nastiness there as well, which bloody hurts, by the way, but it's done, and it cost me $29.99 for a brand new one of these, and that came with the bushing as well at the side, which I don't need. Let's just turn that off a sec. So I just literally, I think it was 7 bolts all in, including these 3 here, these 3 here, and then the big one that goes through the bush there. Anyway, it's on and it drives. That tyre is still, well, the wheel is still screwed, and it's such a shame because the tyre's actually not that bad, to be fair. But that wheel, I wouldn't want to try and sell this car or drive it myself with that. So I've had to order another one. It was 60 quid including delivery, which was a bit more than I had budgeted for, in the respect that, you know, I thought, well, how much can I get this done for? But because I saved 40 odd quid getting the lower control arm done by doing it myself, that's fine. You know, that wheel's coming at some point. Now, because we didn't really look at the car when it arrived, I couldn't get inside, if I remember rightly. This is just a quick kind of catch up to see where we are in that respect. That part of it's done. The mechanical part of this damage, this crash, has been done. And it cost me 30 quid, you know, and I took you remember from the first video, if you go up here somewhere, I'll just put a link up here, that wheel have been pushed right back. That's been fixed for £30. Now this up here has got to be addressed. I'm going to get some polish on there later on, see what I can polish out of it, but I got a feeling all this is going to have to be sanded back, maybe a little bit of filler here and there, and then I'm going to have to blow it in on this line here and just make it look as good as I can. There's no point in replacing an entire wing just for this little bit here, or the bumper, of course. I mean, that's just crazy. I reckon a local guy could probably get that done for me and lack it up and looking beautiful for about 150 quid. But we'll talk about the prices and why I probably won't be doing that option in the third video, I think, really, because we're going to talk about the breakdown of what it's actually cost. Now, as for the car, brilliant. I really like this little car. When I actually got in it, excuse me, when I first got in it, that was missing. It only had one key, which was crap, basically. It was just, well, I don't know if I can show you, actually. Well, no, I can't. It had the little emblem missing. It was battered and bruised, typical kind of German key. So I got a new cover, which I can show you, actually. I've got one of these nice little covers to put on the key and a new badge there, and it cost me about 5 quid all in, and the old key's stuck in there. But as you can see, that looks wonderful now, I think. But inside the car, brilliant. Little 1.4 TSI, steering wheel controls, voice activation. I don't believe it's got cruise control, which isn't a huge problem for me, because it is only a 1.4. Everything seems to work perfectly in this car. It's really, really clean. I haven't cleaned this car. This is how it arrived. The cigarette lighter 12-volt socket there, the little cap there's popped off, which is a shame, but we can try and deal with that. Maybe I'll stick one of those 12-volt activated smellies in here or something just to make it look a bit better. But everything works, you know. They even left me a phone mount there, look, very nice of them. But it's incredibly clean. There's no damage to the seats at all, nothing. Nothing to the doors, nothing inside, no cracks in the windscreen. Everything in this car works as it should, including the bird foot, which they keep doing. As you can see, this is how as it arrived to me. I got a feeling this car has been incredibly well looked after. Even the boot, excuse my crap, but generally speaking, if you look at the rear parcel shelf, that's all clean and nice, unlike a lot of the others. And damage-wise, all I can really see is a couple of little scratches. There's a little one here, there's a couple on the doors you'd always expect, little scuff here. This is just all crap that's coming off the weather that we've had the last few days. But there's no other real damage. I did spot when they were taking it off that this wing here, I don't know if it will show up on the camera, but there's a little bit of a ripple just here. I don't think I'm going to worry about that, guys, you know, because at the end of the day, it is a Cat N salvage car. And, you know, they do have a ceiling price. Now, let's close that up. You'll see how nicely this closes up. It's a really nice little car. As I said, we'll talk about prices, and then, you know, where we can work out whether we made any money, and if it is actually, as the series suggests, is it worth you buying a crash car and fixing it yourself? So far, I would say yes. I've driven this car. It drives beautifully. There's no odd noises. It needs a little bit of cosmetic work down there, and that bird shit taken off there. But apart from that, I think this was an incredibly good buy, and so far, this is tempting me to do more of these. And it's even got heated electric folding mirrors. You can't argue with that, can you, really? As I said, I bought this car for £870. You couldn't make it up, could you? 85,000 miles, 870 quid, delivered to my door. And so far, it's cost me £30 to get it back on the road. You know, as I said, we've got to do some work to that wing over there. And I got a feeling someone may have actually already done some work there, because as we're seeing it in this light here, it looks a little bit faded around this edge here. So somebody might already have tried to blow that in, or they've over polished it, or something very odd going on down there. But again, what do? Do you make it look concourse? Do you make it look immaculate? Bearing in mind it's just a Cat N insurance write-off car, it's never going to be more than it is. You know, we're not talking about a 5-year-old Seat Leon FR that's never had any damage and has done 20,000 miles and is, you know, worth X amount of money. This is an 11-year-old car almost now. Seat Leon with 85,000 miles that's been in an accident, so it's only ever going to be worth what it is. I would guesstimate this car's probably going to be value, as I said in the first video, around about a couple of grand. So we're going to basically continue with this now. The wheels are arriving sometime next week, I believe, and we're going to whip that on. We're going to try and do what we can. I'm going to try and do what I can with that scuff at the front. I really haven't made my mind up, as I said, but I think so far this is turning out to be a really, really nice little decision for me, in the respect that how much it cost me, and I could do the work myself. You know, I did try, as I said, to get somebody down here to do that lower control arm, and in the end it was just like when I first started doing cars, in the respect of buying and selling them. I was scared to do an oil change. I didn't want to change air filters or spark plugs because I'd never done it before. But once you've done it, you realise how simple it is. And you look at a part like that and you think, well, it's 7 bolts, you know. And if you've got an impact driver, which costs 50 to 100 quid for a half decent one, you can do it yourself, you know. I did it with a trolley jack. There are some pictures, by the way, up on the Instagram account. If you want to have a little look and see, you know, not how we did it per se, but, you know, when I was doing it, I took a couple of pictures. So that's on the Instagram account, which is on the main banner picture for the site, for the channel rather. We do have the cap to go around there in case anybody was wondering as well. But that is about it now for this, until next week, and that wheel arrives, and when I've decided what I'm going to do with that, I think I'm probably, as I said, just going to polish this back as much as I can, mask it off, fill where it needs filling, blow it in with a colour-coded rattle can from eBay, and then polish the crap out of this car and get it out there and see what we can make on it. I've got to do some research, basically. I don't know what a Cat N 11-year-old Seat Leon is worth right now. We'll talk about that, as I said, in the third video of the series. I think there'll only be 3. There might be 4, but I don't think there's enough content to do 4 videos on this one car, to be fair. And it's not a review on the car, because as I said, this is the fourth Seat Leon that I've had. But this is more about, is it worth your man next door, as in just a guy living on a little housing estate with a box full of tools and no formal kind of training in mechanics at all? Can you buy a car from a scrapyard, you know, a salvage car, a written off car, a car write-off, insurance write-off rather? Can you buy one and fix it yourself and make a couple of quid? Is it worth it? Is it worth doing it if you want to keep the car? You know, because I wouldn't mind keeping this. I love my Seat Leons. You know, I've never had a bad one so far. And this is a funky little one. You know, it's the only one I've had with a 1.4 engine. The one thing I had noticed, which did surprise me, bearing in mind I've had 4 of these, the insurance. It seems that because it's on the register, you will pay a bit more on insurance, unless insurance prices have gone up since the last time I had a Seat Leon. But getting on for 300 quid a year for this as a 1.4 turbo, bearing in mind also that I'm 50 plus, so I we'll have to, again, to look into that. If you guys know any more about that than I do, you know, if you've got any experience with that, drop it in the comments section, because I'm quite surprised that the insurance is quite so high on one of these for a guy my age with about 5 years no claims bonus. You know, I'm sure I didn't pay anywhere near that on the last couple of Leons I had, and this is the smallest engine of the bunch, so it's something that I hadn't really considered, and it may actually end up being the reason that I don't keep the car, because I can't afford to, well, I can afford to insure it. It's just, if I'm going to spend 300 quid a year on insuring a car, I could get a Subaru Impreza for that kind of money. You know, so a 1.4 Leon just seems a little bit odd to me. Anyway, that's where we're up to now. This is week 2 of the Is It Worth Buying a Crashed Car series. As I said, there'll be probably 3 in the series, and then at the end of it we'll do a price breakdown and work it out. You know, so if you've ever considered, you know, is it worth you doing it, I'm hoping this series will actually, you know, help you out in that respect and show you how simple it's been for me so far. And I say so far because there's always going to be things that you don't account for, and I don't know what's going to happen with that once I blow it over. It could be a case of I might need a new bumper and a new wing. I might need to take it to a body shop because I can't get it looking right myself, you know, but it's not the end of the world, because that fix there, the mechanical fix, was 30 quid, so you can't argue with that. I mean, you can call it 90 quid with the wheel, which I didn't budget for, so for 100 quid, this car has been taken from a start and drive barely off the trailer to I could drive it up to London now if I wanted to, you know, so for 90 quid, you can't argue with that, can you? Alright guys, any comments, leave them in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, or if you're interested in anything to do with this kind of series of videos, or indeed if you want to check out any of my other videos reviewing cars and bikes, then consider subscribing and give the video a thumbs up if you would. That always helps. And look out for the next video on this, where we should be a little bit further down the road. I'm hoping the next video we'll have that wing done, we'll have all this polished up, I can give you some breakdown costs and let you know exactly what I'm going to charge for this car, and was it actually worth it in the end. Alright guys, take care now, thanks for watching.